Hi, everyone. This is Pastor Denise Davis from Change Ministries. Today's message is be careful what you say. Okay? Be careful what you say, because you got to understand everything is spiritual. And so we got to be careful about the words we speak out of our mouths. Okay? So today I'm going to be reading in Luke, and I'm going to be reading about the Samaritan's rejection of Jesus. Okay, now, I read from the King James, but I also have a different version, of the Bible, which is an NIV, because I was trying to basically understand, even though I have a study Bible. But it's sometimes good to have a different version so I can kind of break it up for you. You get a understanding. And but the NIV has a lot of words missing. Important words, that should be attached. Okay, and I'm going to show you, what I'm talking about. So I'm going to be reading in Luke chapter 9, verse 51 through 56. Okay, and this is from the King James Version. And it came to pass, when the time was come that he should be received up, he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem, and sent messengers before his face, and they went and entered into a village of the Samaritans to make ready for him. And they did not receive him, because his face was as though he would go to Jerusalem. Okay? And when his disciples, James and John, saw this, they said, Lord, wilt thou that we command fire to come down from heaven and consume them, even as Elias did? But he turned and rebuked them and said, you know not what manner of spirit you are of? For the Son of Man is not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. And they went to another village. Okay, now I'm going to read from the NIV. As the time approached for him to be taken up to heaven, Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem, and he sent messengers on ahead and went into a Samaritan village to get things ready for him. But the people there did not welcome him, because he was heading for Jerusalem. When the disciples, James and John, saw this, they asked, Lord, do you want us to call fire down from heaven to destroy them? But Jesus turned and rebuked them. Then he and his disciples went to another village. Okay, you see how they have Jesus' words missing from those scriptures. Okay, because in the King James Version, it says, but he turned and rebuked them and said, ye know not what manner of spirit ye are of. That is important, because Jesus is letting them know. Okay? You are of the wrong spirit. Okay? Having those words come out of your mouth. You are saying, Jesus, do you want us to command fire to come down and destroy these people and to kill these people just because they rejected you? Okay? Rejected Jesus? Is that not foolish? Just because the Samaritans rejected them, okay, they wanted to destroy them. Okay? Take their lives. Okay? And so there's a lot of people who says things like that out of their mouths. Okay? But NIV verse 55 says, but Jesus turned and rebuked them. That's all they say in the NIV version. But the King James version said, but he turned and rebuked them and said, ye know not what manner of spirit ye are of. Okay? And then 56 in the NIV said, then he and his disciples went to another village. But in the King James Version it said, for the Son of Man is not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. And they went to another village. You see how these important words is missing? Because people need to understand and know. Okay? You got to be careful what you speak out of your mouth. Okay? Because Jesus is saying, he came to save men's lives, not to destroy it. You asking me to destroy people because they rejected me? You know how many people rejected Jesus? Okay? And so, as Christians, because you hear a lot of Christians say that Jesus gonna get them, Jesus gonna come against them. Every time somebody say something about me, you know, Jesus get them, you know, Jesus gonna take care of them, Jesus gonna destroy them. Do you see how when you speak in those negative words, when we speak negative words, Satan come and snatch them up, and those words fall right back on you because these are spiritual words. We have to be so careful about what we say out of our mouth. And Jesus is clearly saying that is the wrong spirit to have. When you asking me to destroy people just because they rejected you or offended you or said something that you don't like or done something that you don't like. No, you have to pray for people. Okay? You don't say Jesus is going to destroy them or Jesus is going to get them. Okay? Because Jesus said, no, I didn't come to destroy nobody. I came to save. Okay? So you got to be careful what you speak out of your mouth. Okay? So, when the lady at the job called me a liar in so many words, I was training in a different department. She was the trainer. She's a Christian. And she said, when I lied, I immediately asked God to forgive me. Okay? So I was like, well, why would you do that? Okay? Because I know when you sin, Satan attaches to that sin. Whatever you do, a demon attached to it. Okay? So I'm like, so that's why I don't lie. And she was like, well, you do something. So I'm like, Jesus, she just called your daughter a liar. And I'm like, Jesus, did she just call me a liar? And Jesus like, don't worry about it. Okay? But I was offended because I don't lie. I don't lie. I don't have no reason to lie. There are actually people who actually live their lives according to God. Okay? I actually take my relationship serious. I have to. I done seen too much. Okay? I done seen how demons attach and know these demons attached to your life when you sin. Okay? And sometimes, you guys, it's not easy just getting these demons attached from your life. I'm in deliverance, you guys. From things that have been attached to my life through the curses. And not only that, my sin. So when you open your life up to sin, just because you say, God forgive me, you still gave that demon rights to be in your life, and that demon attached to your life because it was a sin. Okay? It was a sin because lying is what? A sin. So that demon attached himself to your life because you lied. You committed a sin. And just because you said God forgive you, that don't absolve you of the sin. Okay? Because you opened up your life. Okay? We give Satan legal rights to be in our lives when we commit sin. Okay? So Jesus is going to hold you accountable. Okay? For you lying. Okay? But one thing, you cannot tell Christians anything because they already know everything. Okay? So I don't even try. Okay? So, I didn't say nothing. 2 days later, she come to me. I'm in the break room. We have a conversation. Then she said, this lady lying on me. This lady lying on me. She trying to get me in trouble. I'm like, oh, for real? I don't really have words because I just don't have words for people, you guys. And when I'm at that job, I just want to be left alone. Okay? I'm on break. You know, I'm listening to my videos. Okay? And so she's saying this lady keep lying on her and is, you know, trying to get her in trouble. But did she not say she lied? Okay? So when you lie, the devil attached to your life. And now you got somebody lying on you. Okay? Now she says she a Christian, right? Take it to God. Okay? So I didn't see her no more. I think I seen her, I think it was last week. And she's like, I'm not in that department no more. You know, I moved to a different department so I don't have to jump nobody. So I'm like, well, why wouldn't she take it to God? Okay? Because Jesus has all of the authority. Jesus has the authority over everything, and he will fight for you. He will fight for that situation. We don't run from the devil. Because if we always constantly run from the devil and don't take nothing to God, how's that going to work on your faith? How's that going to build up your faith? If you always running from Satan and don't go to God and allow God, you know, to show up for you or to show you, I can work this situation out if you let me. If you trust me, I can work it out for you. Okay, but she done ran and went to a different department talking about she didn't want to jump on the lady. So, you know, she already in the wrong spirit. Your spirit is all off. Okay? You see how when we allow sin in our lives, our lives is just off the rails. Okay? You done moved to a different department. You done ran from Satan. Not only that, you've been in this department longer than she has. And you're going to let her run you out of this department instead of taking it to God in prayer? Okay? Because we have authority in Christ Jesus. Jesus fight for his children. Okay? Not necessarily people going to lose their jobs. Okay? But you have to allow God to weigh in situations. You gotta allow God to work out situations in your life. Okay? She could have got the victory over that. That would have been a testimony. Instead of her running, not taking it to God. Okay? Because she's moving out of frustration and anger. Okay? So when we're frustrated and we're angry, that's going to always mess us up in the long run. Okay? But you have to be careful what you speak out of your mouth. Okay? Because when people say stuff to me, and you know when people are talking down to you, you know. And so when it happened to me, I take it to God. I take it to Jesus in prayer. And not really in prayer. I'd like, Jesus. He like, don't worry about it. Okay? Next thing you know, people are getting moved from that department into another department. Because, you know, I don't want to see people losing their jobs. But people got to understand, you can't just talk down to people and say what you want to say to people. Okay? You can't. You know? So I'm not finna argue with these people because I need my job. So I'm gonna take it to God and he gonna fight for me. Okay? I'm gonna walk away. And I'm gonna let God handle it. You know, no matter how long it may take. And so what happened is, you know, Jesus like, don't say nothing when you, and he told me, don't say nothing. I'm working it out for you. And so, like, a couple of months later, she announcing, for personal reasons, I'm going to step down and move to a different department. And I was thinking, well, you don't really have to announce that because everybody happy to see you go. Okay? Everybody was happy to see her leave. You know? So allow God to work things out to you. That's why when you are a follower of Christ and a believer in that power, in that strength, you have to let God work things out for you. You have to understand that you're not out here by yourself. God fights for us. But we have to take it to him. We have to give it over to him. Let it go. And then let him work it out. Okay? We don't run from Satan. Okay? Because we have the power in Christ Jesus to defeat everything that Satan might try to bring against us, especially on these jobs. Okay? Because Jesus blessed you with that job. Okay? He don't want you to lose your job because you popping off. And you giving Satan a victory over your life because you don't know how, you don't have no self-control. No. We walk away from situations. You know. And let God work it out. Okay? So like I said, we have to be careful about what we speak out of our mouths. Okay? And with situations that take place in your life, take it to God. Allow God to handle the situation for you. And I say, let God handle the situation for you so you won't get in trouble. So you won't get in trouble. Okay? So that's it. Be blessed. Be safe. Peace.